How are you, Tanya? I'm a newbie here. We chatted last week, I believe.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the information here to jump on the call. Uh, just wondering advice for someone new how to drum up business, how to prospect. Um, you know, it seems like the lower hanging fruit may not be easy. More trouble than it's worth. Going after small mom and pop shops, retails, things like that. I don't want to get caught in that mess, but the bigger ones harder to find decision makers, if you will. So just curious experience on if you were to start over, and you didn't have the contacts that you have, what would you do to start to create a book of business?
That's a great question because things have changed quite a bit. When I first got into selling businesses, a business brokerage, the first thing I did was hire somebody who had been referred to me to make cold calls because I knew if it was up to me to make cold calls, it wouldn't get done. I had a lot on my plate, and I was doing a lot of things just in trying to set up an office and trying to go out on appointments and all of that. And so the person that I hired would make 100 calls a day and generally set 2 to 4 appointments for me for later that week. Um, and so that worked out really well. The problem is back then there were no lead gen companies. And so it's all now there's so many lead generation companies that are constantly calling business owners, asking them if they want to sell or if they want to do something else. And so these business owners are getting inundated with these calls. When Lee was doing them back when I first started, he would get people that were like, "Oh my God, my wife was just telling me last night that she wanted me to sell the business because, she retired a year ago and we want to do some traveling and blah blah blah." And so the responses that we got back then, it was like, "Oh yeah, definitely set an appointment." It was really fairly easy. Now, did they always show up? I mean, I can't tell you the number of appointments where I'd go out for the appointment and the seller, the business owner wasn't there that day, or had to make a delivery or had to do something and took off. And these were predominantly Main Street businesses because, like Dick said, you're not getting, on a little bit larger businesses, you're the owner, there's usually a gatekeeper. But on the small businesses, on the Main Street businesses, a lot of times the owner is the one that picks up the phone when it rings. So you're talking to them. Or if you walk in, you can walk in and look around the shop and, "Oh, this is a great shop. How long has it been here? Who's the owner?" Oh, well, you're talking to them. And then you just have to be careful about, look around, make sure there's no employees. But then you say, "Hey, how much longer you want to work in the business? Have you ever thought about selling it?" And so you can start a conversation with them. But again, since business sales are confidential, you don't want to have that conversation if there are customers in the store or there are other employees within earshot range and stuff like that. So um, now today, based on what's available with AI and with technology, the fact that there's all these lead gen companies that are constantly calling business owners and all that, um, I'd probably start with just networking with people that I know because they all know business owners. Networking with a chamber of commerce, a leads group, a tip, um, provisors, any type of professional networking group, and make it very clear. And also try networking with real estate agents because a lot of residential real estate agents know, they're a great circle of influence, right? And they have a lot of clients, they have a lot of friends, they know a lot of people, and they know a lot of business owners. And right now you have, that whole silver tsunami. You got a lot of business owners who are looking to retire. And I think that because there's so much AI and there's so much technology, there's so much fraud. People are going to rely more on people that they know and people that they trust. So I think networking and just getting out there and making sure that people know who you are and what you do is probably the best way of getting good leads at this point.
Thank you, Tanya.
I just want to say
Yeah.
that was spot on, Tanya. I think a ton of my stuff that comes in is honestly through referrals. So get out there and yeah, just as in the words of Dick, uh, be gutsy.
Yeah, be bold.
Hey Mike, I just wanted to say, if there are any like local Facebook groups or whatnot, man, you'd be surprised how much stuff actually comes up in local Facebook groups of people looking for business brokers and whatnot. So that's a really like, you know, easy, no cost way to kind of network. And yeah, I would reiterate what Tanya said. Get out there and introduce yourself to as many of like your EXP Realty counterparts as possible because I get a decent amount of referrals just from the realty side because their E&O insurance will not allow them to business broker. So that is a great way to potentially get business, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's not just EXP Realty. I mean, there are a lot of residential real estate offices out there that are um, that have that same policy. Their E&O doesn't cover it. They will not allow their agents to sell businesses. And so if you can establish alliances, I've gone into real estate offices before and just given a presentation on the differences between selling a business and selling a property because it's a very simple presentation, right? I mean, you got, some very key differences. So you're educating them, but you're also the expert. You're also now getting to be the person they know that they can turn to and refer to and trust to get a deal done. One word of caution is just that they don't know how to value businesses. So a lot of the referrals that you get are small businesses that maybe are not that saleable. And or the business value is worth $40,000 or $50,000, and at that point you really can't get a reasonable fee that makes it worth your time, but you can still help the person out. I've dealt with people before that had little small mom and pop restaurants that were worth maybe $45,000, and my recommendation to them was, get your books and records together, get these things in order and then put an ad out on Craigslist because it's not going to cost you much. And somebody else that wants a small restaurant will come in and buy that from you. So, and you can make arrangements to maybe handle it on a flat fee basis to handle the paperwork for them or something. Or, sometimes even that doesn't make sense economically. So, you just say, when you have a buyer, here's a good escrow company that can handle your deal for you, and so you can do things that way. So just try and always help them out, but because you never want to burn referral sources, so you always want to make a call and see if you can give them guidance or give them some advice that will direct them, move them in the right direction, even if you can't even if you are not going to be the one to transact that business because economically it doesn't make sense. So
I'd also say that membership with the IBBA has definitely gotten me some calls as well. You get listed on the IBBA website,
yeah.
so I would definitely reiterate that. That's a great way to kind of get your name out there.
Hey, how are you?